Success is not something you chase. Success is something you attract by the person you become. I want to begin by asking you a dangerous question, one that will disturb your comfort. What kind of person are you becoming? Because the truth is, success is not looking for people who are talented. It's not looking for people who are loud. Success is searching for people who are ready, who are aligned with divine principles, disciplined in character, and committed to purpose. The birds don't chase the sky, they simply grow wings. The fish don't chase the ocean, they design for it. And you were designed to attract greatness. If you become who you are created to be. Let me make something clear. You do not pursue success, you prepare for it. And what you prepare for, you attract. And let me tell you something dangerous. You are not born to blend in. You are not born to pay bills and die. You were not created simply to survive. You were created to matter. There is something in you that creation is still waiting for. And the question I came to ask you today is this: do you even know what you're carrying? You see, when a manufacturer creates a product, they build it with a specific assignment in mind. A phone is built to communicate. A car is designed to transport. A seed is programmed to become a tree. And you are not an accident of biology. You are a pre-approved solution to a problem in the earth. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, the designer had a blueprint. You were scheduled to arrive in this generation, not earlier, not later, because this time, right now, needed you. And yet many of you are living your entire lives reacting to circumstances rather than responding to calling. You are living beneath your design because you never stopped to ask the manufacturer, what is my assignment? We live in a world where people are chasing titles but have no identity. They're addicted to success but allergic to significance. They want more, but they don't know why. And this is why the soul is restless. Because until you align with your true assignment, everything else feels like noise. You cannot attract real success if you do not know what you were built to solve. Let me provoke your thoughts. The fish doesn't attend swimming school. The eagle doesn't need flying lessons. Why? Because when something is in its right environment and functioning in its right design, it excels without effort. Success, then, is not about trying harder. It's about returning to your original assignment. Have you noticed how a lion never compares itself to the antelope? It doesn't envy the gazelle's speed. It doesn't wish it had stripes like the zebra. Why? Because the lion is clear on what it is and why it exists. You see, comparison is the evidence of confusion. You only compete when you don't know who you are. Some of you are working jobs you hate, building dreams that aren't yours, climbing ladders that are leaning against a wrong wall, all because you never discovered the code within your soul. You have traded destiny for comfort, traded calling for applause, traded meaning for motion. Let me say something strong. Until you locate your specific role in the grand story of history, you will continue to attract frustration disguised as success. A man once built a house and used a hammer to stir his coffee. Every morning he reached for the hammer and said, "It works," but his cup was chipped, his table scratched, and his coffee cold. Why? Because he was using the right tool for the wrong task. And this is the tragedy of so many lives. You're functioning, but you're malfunctioning. You're moving, but you're misaligned. Your life will never make sense until you answer this divine whisper. Why was I sent here? Not just born, sent. You were sent to this earth to fix something, to build something, to heal something, to shift something. You were not sent here to simply make a living. You were sent to make a difference. You were not just born with needs. You were born with answers. So stop asking people, what should I do with my life? Start asking the King, what did you send me here to do? Because when you discover your original design, when you begin to function in the assignment and code it into your spirit, listen carefully, you won't have to chase significance, influence, or favor. They will begin to find you. Destiny is not discovered by looking outward, is uncovered by looking within and upward. You don't need another degree. You don't need a bigger audience. What you need is alignment, clarity, revelation. What you need is to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. And when you do, the world will no longer resist you, because the earth always makes room for what is authentic. So I leave you with this. The wind never asks permission to blow. The sun doesn't apologize for shining. And you are never meant to beg to be seen. You were meant to be discovered by discovering yourself. Let me say this to you with all the love and all the authority I have. Your future is not determined by your potential. It is determined by your capacity to be trusted. Giftedness is everywhere. Talent is common. The world is full of people who can sing, speak, build, invent, charm, and perform. But the world is desperately lacking people with depth, people with roots, with internal structure, with a moral backbone that won't collapse under pressure. That is why your gift may open the door, but only your inner life can keep the door open. The problem is not exposure. The problem is lack of integrity beneath the surface. We're living in a time where charisma is being celebrated more than character. People are being elevated before they're built. Platforms are being handed out to people who've never survived pressure. And the result? Collapse, scandal, burnout, because a foundation was never formed. Write this down. Success without stability will destroy you. And God, in His mercy, will delay your visibility to protect your destiny. If He sees that your inner world is not yet ready to sustain the weight of glory, He will hold you back, not to punish you, but to preserve you. Because it is better to be hidden and holy than to be seen and hollow. Let me make this real. There's a reason why skyscrapers take so long to build. It's not because the architects are lazy. It's because the higher the building must rise, the deeper the foundation must go. And the taller you're called to stand, the stronger your inner life must be anchored in unshakable principles. What are you made of when nobody is looking? Who are you when the cameras are off, when no one is clapping, when the lights are gone and the silence is loud? Because hear me, God doesn't anoint performances. He anoints truth. You can fake talent. You can fake passion. You can even fake humility. But you cannot fake consistency. The mark of true greatness is not how loud you can be in a moment. It's how faithful you can be in the mundane. It's how you treat people who can do nothing for you. It's how you speak when you're angry. It's how you stand when you're tempted. There was a man who kept showing up every morning to mop the floors of a hospital. He was never late, never asked for recognition. One day, a young intern asked him, "Why do you work so hard when no one even sees what you do?" The man replied, "Because God does. And one day, someone I love might lie on this floor. If I don't do my job with excellence, I put their life at risk." That's character. That's uncommon. That's kingdom. Some of you are asking God for elevation, but your attitude is still too fragile. You're praying for wealth, but your integrity still leaks when no one's watching. You want the crown, but God is waiting for you to pass the private tests. You don't attract greatness by being talented. You attract it by being trustworthy. You don't gain favor through flash. You gain it through faithfulness. And hear me, no demon in hell can stop a man or woman who is fully aligned, privately pure, and consistently excellent. Hell may try, but heaven will back you. Because when your internal structure is forged by discipline, humility, and truth, success becomes inevitable. So I say this to you with fire in my bones. Don't just polish your gift, build your soul. Don't just seek influence, seek integrity. Don't just want to be impressive, be immovable. Because in the kingdom, God promotes those He can trust. Let me tell you something that most people don't want to hear. The greatest threat to your destiny is not the devil. It's your lack of self-mastery. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you when he can simply distract you. He doesn't need to fight you if he can keep you fighting yourself. Because the truth is, the war is not out there. The war is in here. Until you conquer you, you are not qualified to conquer anything else. And this is where most people fall short. They pray for favor, they ask for elevation, but they are still slaves to emotion, prisoners of appetite, addicted to comfort, obsessed with pleasure. They're walking around with vision in their mouths, but chains on their will. Let me say it plainly. You will never rise above the level of your discipline. You can't dream your way into greatness. You can't shout your way into promotion. You can't declare your way into transformation. What you don't take authority over daily will eventually take authority over you. You were never created to be ruled by your feelings. Feelings are wonderful passengers, but terrible drivers. You don't build legacy on what you feel, you build it on what you do consistently when feelings are gone. Maturity is when your commitment lasts longer than your emotion. Growth is when your yes to destiny is louder than your craving for comfort. And let me give you a real story. A young athlete once trained with an Olympic coach. For months he practiced relentlessly. One day he broke down and said, "Coach, I'm tired. I feel like quitting." The coach looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Son, you don't train for how you feel today. You train for who you want to become tomorrow." And that's a revelation right there. Discipline is doing today what your future will thank you for. Your future self is either going to congratulate you or confront you. You want to be great? Then master the small things. Wake up when the alarm rings. Read when you'd rather scroll. Say no when your flesh says yes. Protect your mind, guard your time, train your habits. Because the thing you refuse to govern now will eventually embarrass you in public. Look at history. Not just biblical history, but human history. The most gifted have often fallen not from lack of opportunity, but from lack of inner order. Kings lost kingdoms not because they lacked strategy, but because they lacked restraint. Samson wasn't defeated by the Philistines. He was defeated by his own lack of boundaries. Judas didn't fall because of demonic possession. He fell because of undisciplined greed. You must become the kind of person that heaven can trust with weight, with wealth, with responsibility, with power. And that requires discipline. Do you know why God often gives us dreams that take years to fulfill? Because dreams are not only meant to show us the destination, they're designed to shape our decisions. Your dream is not on hold. You're being shaped. You're in training. The vision is stretching you, breaking you, refining you. Because what you're becoming is bigger than what you're asking for. The danger is that some of you want the blessing but not the burden of responsibility. You want the results but not the routine. You want the success but not the structure. And hear me, you will never sustain what you refuse to submit to process. So let me close this point with a challenge. If you don't like your results, don't blame the enemy. If you don't like your life, don't blame the system. Ask yourself, what have I refused to discipline? Because in this kingdom, you don't become by wishing, you become by walking. And the walk is narrow, the walk is lonely, the walk is costly, but oh, it's worth it. Because when you conquer yourself, nothing else can conquer you. Let me speak to the part of you that's been overlooked, underestimated, and mislabeled. The part that has vision but feels invisible. The part that knows there's more but keeps getting buried beneath life's delays. Hear me. You were not forgotten. You are being forged. And while people may ignore you, heaven has not. God does not waste hidden seasons. He uses them to prepare vessels that will not break under weight. If you are in a hidden season right now, do not despise it, because private victories always come before public rewards. God will never allow your influence to exceed your internal infrastructure. He will not pour destiny into a cracked vessel. He will not put global assignments on shoulders that buckle under pressure. That's not cruelty, that's protection. See, the world teaches you to seek speed, but the kingdom is about timing. You can grow fast and still grow wrong. A mushroom can rise overnight, but it dies by morning. A palm tree takes decades and still stands through hurricanes. Many of you are asking for visibility, but God is more interested in durability. Why would the king trust you with nations if you cannot steward today's silence? Why would he give you platforms if you still crumble under people's opinions? No. The process is not punishment, it's proof. It's the sign that you are too valuable to be rushed. A blacksmith doesn't shape precious metal in public. He does it in fire, in pressure, in places no one sees. And when the time is right, the final product doesn't need to be announced. It reveals itself. Some of you are comparing your journey to people who are sprinting in their own lanes. But hear me, comparison is a distraction from your consecration. If you're still comparing, you're not yet ready. Because when you are truly focused, you lose the appetite to compete. You don't need to envy when you understand that what's yours is tailor-made. It's timed, it's marked, it's ordained. Let me give you an image. A woman carries life for 9 months before the world ever sees the child. The growth happens in silence. The formation happens in darkness. And when it's time, not when it's convenient, not when she feels ready, when it's time, labor comes, pain comes, pressure comes. But on the other side, life emerges. So hear this with your spirit. Delay is not denial. It is divine gestation. You are not being held back. You are being held together. As if God gave you what you're asking for too early, you turn the blessing into a burden. You'd mishandle what you don't understand. You'd curse what was meant to crown you. So instead of begging for speed, ask for strength. Instead of crying for recognition, pray for resilience. Because when the doors open, and they will, you won't be walking in as a survivor. You walk in as a refined weapon, unshaken, unwavering, unmovable. People who ask, where did you come from? And your answer will be simple, from the furnace. Let the fire work. Because when God finishes building you in the dark, no one will be able to ignore the light you carry. Let me tell you this straight. You will never attract what you constantly repel with your mindset. Some of you are praying for breakthroughs, but your thinking is still broken. You're asking for increase, but your mentality is stuck in limitation. You want God to enlarge your territory, but your mind can't even handle a room. Hear me? Your life will always rise or fall to the level of your belief system. Not what you say you believe, what you truly believe. Because it's not your mouth that moves mountains, it's your mind. And until your thoughts match your prayers, you are blocking what you were meant to build. You can't expect to live like royalty with a slave mentality. You can't walk into rooms meant for kings while carrying the posture of a beggar. You must stop thinking like you're tolerated and start walking like you're authorized. There is a danger in small thinking, not just because it limits your life, but because it insults your design. You were created in the image of the Creator. Do you understand what that means? It means your thoughts are not harmless. They are seeds. They are blueprints. What you think about consistently, you begin to live out. Eventually, this is why God didn't just deliver the Israelites from Egypt. He had to deliver Egypt out of them, because they were free in body, but still bound in thought. They saw giants and ran. They heard walls and surrendered, not because they lacked power, but because they lacked perspective. So ask yourself, what have you allowed to shrink your thinking? Was it failure, rejection, a voice from your past that said you'd never become anything? Who told you that you had to settle? Who told you that your ceiling was fixed? Who told you that your background was your boundary? The most dangerous prisons are the ones we build in our own heads. And many are talented, anointed, even prophetic, but still trapped because they never renewed their minds. So this is not just about positivity. This is about alignment. You cannot walk in kingdom power with a survival mindset. You cannot reign with a restricted imagination. You cannot carry global influence if your vision doesn't stretch past your street. Change your thoughts and you'll change your decisions. Change your decisions and you'll change your future. Because in the kingdom, God doesn't just bless the gifted, He blesses the aligned. And when your mind gets in sync with your calling, nothing becomes impossible. So let me tell you something most people never realize. Success is not an event, it's a harvest. And harvests don't respond to emotion. They don't care how loud you shout, how long you cry, or how deeply you wish. Harvests respond to seeds, to systems, to strategy, to consistent action. You can speak in tongues all day long, but if you don't sow the right behavior, if you don't practice the right patterns, if you don't move in wisdom and diligence, you will not see transformation. Some of you are frustrated, not because God said no, but because you did nothing after he said yes. Favor doesn't eliminate the need for action. Miracles are not excuses for laziness. There is no substitute for movement. Heaven gives you a word, but you have to walk it out. That business idea, that ministry dream, that leadership calling, it's not going to manifest just because you're excited. It's going to require obedience when it's hard, discipline when it's dry, courage when it's quiet. And this is where many people disqualify themselves. They confuse potential with progress. They talk big but move small. They are dreamers but not doers. And the world doesn't change because of what you imagine, it changes because of what you initiate. So let me say this with love but with fire. Your destiny does not respond to your feelings. It responds to your follow-through. Noah didn't just get a vision of an ark. He built it, stone by stone, in silence, in ridicule, in faith. Esther didn't just fast. She showed up to the king's court, risked her life, took the step. Jesus didn't just teach the kingdom. He carried a cross, walked to Calvary, finished the assignment. This is the kind of action heaven respects. Not passive, not impulsive, but prophetic obedience that moves even when it doesn't make sense. So stop waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect moment, the perfect confirmation. Move now. Move in the strength you have. Move while you still feel unsure. Move before the door looks open, because sometimes doors open when your feet move toward them. And if you fall, fall forward. If you fail, fail with boldness. But don't you dare bury what God put inside of you. Don't let fear silence your assignment. You carry answers. You carry solutions. You carry divine DNA. Heaven is not waiting on your emotions. It's waiting on your execution. And when you move, when you build, when you act in faith, the atmosphere around you begins to respond. Because the earth doesn't just respect gifted people. It responds to those who work their gifts with fire, with focus, and with fierce commitment. So rise, step out, take the action. Because those who move with God never stay where they started. The future you desire is waiting for the person you are becoming. Stop chasing, stop becoming. Start cultivating character. Start honoring time. Start walking in purpose. Start attracting what you were designed for. Because when the right person meets the right principles, success is inevitable. The kingdom doesn't bless potential, it blesses preparation. So the question is no longer, can I succeed? The real question is, am I becoming the person who attracts it?